The greatest canceled UFC fights and who would have won if they happened, part 1. So first one, Rafael dos Anjos versus Conor McGregor, UFC 196 for the lightweight title. Now this is the same night Conor lost to Nate, and I think RDA would have won by decision. Obviously dos Anjos, he went on losing his belt to Eddie Alvarez and Conor beat Eddie, but I think RDA would have mixed in his grappling early against Conor. McGregor, he didn't have the best gas tank, and I think RDA gets a decision here. Next, Max Holloway versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, UFC 223 for the lightweight title. And I'd go Khabib by decision here, although I could see a submission as well. Max, he was stepping in on short notice, moving up a weight class. And obviously his striking was far better than Khabib's, but Khabib's grappling would have been too much. Especially his pressure and top control. Next, UFC Fight Night, Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev. This would have been awful for Leon. Good thing for him, it didn't happen, and then he ended up beating Kamaru Usman and becoming champion. But if it happened, Khamzat would have absolutely ragdolled him, probably finished him in 1 to 2 rounds. Then Jose Aldo versus Anthony Pettis, UFC 163 for the featherweight title. I think this would have been a very competitive fight at that point. Pettis, he actually won the lightweight title in his next fight, but he had great kicks, solid BJJ to compete with Aldo on the ground. Aldo himself very dominant at this point with his kicks, his wrestling, his boxing. I'd probably lean towards Aldo by decision. And then lastly, Dustin Porier versus Nate Diaz at UFC 230. And give me Porier by decision in this one. At this point, Nate was coming off a 2-year hiatus from the Conor fight. Porier had just TKO'd Eddie Alvarez. And I think his boxing would have been way too sharp. His straight left hands, his combinations. He could have stuffed most of the takedowns. So I think Dustin wins this one pretty comfortably.